Welcome, guys. How you guys doing today? I just want to introduce, well, y'all know Tommy by now. Pastor Tommy, Pastor Timmy, whatever you want to call him.
Wait,
And
but
then-
Herb, the No Name podcast.
Yes, exactly.
The
We're still
name.
getting there, but
We might
welcome
never get there.
welcome to the Imaginary Podcast.
Imagine
We have a special guest today with us. I think he's a dear friend of mine, and he's a good friend of Tommy's, and it is Manny Vargas.
Come on, wow.
Cue the audience. Yeah. Manny is he's a minister here in this ministry. Whether you're into titles or not, it's okay. He's also one of our keys players. He's our keys section leader. He's one of our worship leaders here at the ministry, and he's been just a tremendous help in that side. But more than that, he is a beautiful person, a beautiful man, inside and out.
Come on. Ooh.
Thank you so much.
And man, he just has so much to give. God has given him so much. He's been here 12 years, 12, 14? 15. Okay.
Let's go. Double
15
digits.
years. He's been here since he was very young. And I'm not trying to say you're old, but
That's all good, man.
but believe it or not, Manny is only 2 years older than Tommy. 2 or 3 years older than Tommy.
Dang.
How old are you, man?
I'm about to be 32 next
Yeah.
month.
Okay, so I'm just 2 years older than you.
2
Wow.
years older than Tommy. So
Dang,
Let's
bro.
go.
And he has a
Um,
kid and I still have no kids. Imagínate.
It's all good.
Well, at
man.
least you're
You've
married,
tasted
so
life.
that's
You're
what
married now.
matters.
You've tasted life.
Basically, I just wanted to intro him. He's a amazing person. He's a man of God, in my opinion, and yeah, I just
top
wanted
three
to.
piano players of all time.
Oh, 100%.
Who are
There's
the other two?
Bruno Mars and,
Stupid.
and Frank Sinatra.
Frank
I
Sinatra
actually didn't play the piano.
or Adlan Cruz. Remember?
Oh,
He used to come and play. If
New
you were in
Year's.
ERJ
That guy's
circa
good though,
2010, you knew he was there every New Year's
That guy puts on a show.
or
though.
Christmas. But honestly,
Forgot that guy exists.
he's
God bless you
You're-
wherever you are, sir.
but honestly, like Manny has a very, I mean, I've gotten to know his testimony, and he's here because I just wanted him to share a little bit. But I've related to him so much, and maybe for those of you watching, I actually pursued career. Believe it or not, growing up in church, I pursued career. He did too. He grew up in church, and he pursued career completely. We're not talking about me. This is Manny today, but I pursued career too, and I want to just start asking that question. You pursued career. You got a bachelor's degree in architecture, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And you ended up not doing that, and you ended up
Zero
in God and
experience.
doing. You know, it's not like you're just on winging it, and like this is all you had. Like you had a whole other life, built
Yeah.
and planned for. I just kind of want to know a little bit of your testimony, and more than that, kind of like to those watching, like maybe they think their career is everything, and then God just does something else. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just opening up the floor to you.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you. I really like No Name Podcast. Actually. And I think that.
Damn, it might stick.
Yeah, I hope it does.
Take it till you make it.
But yeah, like Ron was saying, it was definitely a process. I think at that age, a lot of people are trying to find themselves. They're trying to find kind of what they like, what they're into, what they're good at. It's hard, man. Up until this time, you've kind of been sheltered, maybe through grade school, and you haven't really tasted the world, or just, I don't mean the world in like a bad way. I just mean like you haven't gone out there. You haven't really like seen your skills. What are you good at? What are your talents? So it's a really finding time for a lot of people, and it was for me. So I was just like, look, I like building stuff. I like construction. I like engineering. I like seeing things from start to finish. Just kind of the way something gets constructed, the way something gets built, and that really called my attention. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll do something in design. Maybe I'll be an architect.
Wow.
And my parents are Hispanic, so they're like, hijito. They're like, eso es la carrera para ti.
Amen.
Amen. Vamos a orar para que eso suceda. And I'm like, yeah. I hope I do it.
For those that don't know Spanish, can you say what you translate with your parents?
Basically they were like, son, that's the Lord. I grew up in a Christian household, so they were like, son, that's the Lord. Yeah, that's God. He's on that. We're gonna pray. My mom is she's a woman of prayer and stuff. So it happened actually, but But I think in that season, I had grown up pretty much in just religious churches.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, God
Wow.
wasn't really real to me. And I was just like, look, I want to pursue my career. I want to do this, but I don't want to do it here. I don't want to be home. I don't want to, just kind of like keep doing this church thing. It was just really monotonous for me. So even though I got accepted into they offered me scholarships and all that, and I didn't take it. I was like, I'd rather go to UF, and I moved.
Wow.
I moved. I lived on campus. I did the whole college lifestyle thing. Yeah, I got crunk, crazy stuff.
Little John.
I did, all that stuff. Went to clubs, even though clubs in Gainesville are trash. They're like, it's like somebody's like living room basically. And
So wait, you went to UF then?
yeah, I did.
Yes,
I did.
okay.
I went over there.
All right.
But whatever. To make the long story short, I mean, I finished, and when I started looking for work, I started knocking on. I moved back to Miami. I'm like, okay, it's time. I'm gonna start looking for jobs. Miami is a really great area for development, construction, architecture, design, all that stuff. It's like people thrive here.
Yeah.
So when a lot of people ask me about my experience, I'm like, look, I have no experience. I've just been in school the last 5 years, and they're like, well, that doesn't do us any good. So I was like, great. I started knocking on firms and just being like, yo, can I just work here for free? Like, can I intern here? You need somebody to serve you coffee, anything. I just need to be in this environment. Like, I need to get my feet wet in what you guys are doing. And every door just closed. And it took me a while to realize that, God wasn't allowing that.
Wow.
That it just wasn't his will for my life.
And what made you realize that? Like at the time?
Yeah, when I started coming here, coming to church, I was passionate here. I was like, man, music and the worship, and I'm like, this place feels good to me.
Did you always play piano, or
Yeah, I've been playing since I was 4.
Oh, okay.
Dang. I did not know that.
I mean, I wasn't good at 4, but like
You were a prodigy.
yeah, but I mean, I started, like 3 blind mice.
Dude, I thought
see
you
how
were
they
gonna,
run.
I really thought you were gonna be like, oh, one day I showed up to church and God gave me the gift of
Yeah, I
playing
was just a
piano
beast.
from
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
No, yeah, right. I wish. No, that was a process. But even being here, I still kind of struggled in my head, like, man, God, is this really like what you want me to do? It's not like I was looking for work in church, but I'm like, I'm just gonna serve him here.
I don't think anybody is.
At this point,
We're just joking about
let's
that.
be real. But let's be real, nobody is. It kind of just happens.
But I saw that there were full-time musicians here, and I was like, man, it would be great to play with these people, just be with them, just be in that kind of like environment with those people, with that group. I would love to just learn, but I wasn't really seeking hey, I want this to be my thing, like a full-time thing. It's just I love it, and that I would do that even if I didn't get paid to do it, and that was kind of my heart at the start, And then I just remember one time that I think in the office they were like in the offices here in church, they were like, yo, man, we want to schedule you for some trips next year. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I was just like, look, I have some interviews lined up, and I'm really looking to get a job. Because my dad already was, Hispanic parents are.
Yeah.
El trabajo.
No te puedo mantener. I can't keep sustaining you, So I'm like, I get it.
And then once you have the job, they're like, me tienes que mantener.
Bro, for real, you need to help me with this. But yeah, so when I said that, I think someone in the offices spoke up, probably just like, yo, we need this kid, we need him. I think I had been serving here a lot, and it was just kind of like God was opening that door. And even then, I struggled. Like when I got offered a position, I was like, really? Like, I mean, I like it, but dude, I like it that much.
Yeah.
4 years in school to play piano.
And
with student loan debt and everything,
kind of just to kind of take a peek into that moment.
Yeah,
like, how did you make that decision?
Mm-hmm.
What was it that kind of turned the tide for you? Was it actually just like winging it, or was it really like, hey, God called me? Because I know sometimes we think it's like the Bible,
the clouds
the heavens open and God
and the
speaks
Bible
with
opens
a bit. Yeah, like you know.
It wasn't like that at all for me. No, it wasn't like that. I'm very the way I am, and I think it's because of what I studied too, which is design, architecture, and all that stuff. I'm very like plan A, plan B, plan C. Like I gotta have it like laid out, and that's kind of like I think one of my biggest processes with the Lord, because I gotta be like 5 steps ahead. you know, and God.
That doesn't usually work with it.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care. But yeah, it was an interesting time. I mean, even then, when it wasn't like an absolute yes for me, like yeah, this is it. Wow, Lord, you're speaking. I had to. I'm not even gonna say that I really prayed about it hard. I just asked a bunch of people like questions because I was young. I was 21.
Oh wow.
Or 22. Yeah, I was 21. Going on to 22, and I was just asking people like, "Hey, how's the life of a musician? Like, tell me real stuff, you know, not just like how's it working in church. Like, what does that look for you? What do you go through? Is it something real? You know, do you get a lot of heat for it? Do you struggle sometimes? It's not just because it's church doesn't mean it's safe. You know, it's
of course,
it's another job.
Yeah.
So I think that's what that looked like for me. I asked a lot of people. I asked a lot of people that were older than me, that had been in the industry longer than me. I got a lot of different just backgrounds, perspectives. And after all that, I did take it to the Lord, and I felt peace with it, and I accepted. But even still with a lot of fears. Like I wasn't like all in. I loved it, but there were moments that I was scared out of my mind because I was like, do I really have what it takes? Like to do this, you know, in the long run.
Wow, that's amazing. And fast forward all those years later, I think 10 years? 10, 12 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fast forward later, I mean, you're a producer now. Now
That's
you're an
cool.
MD. I mean, a lot of our new stuff that we've been doing, obviously he's been doing beforehand, but you've kind of taken more of a lead role, and it's a beautiful thing, man, to just watch that. And more than that, on a personal level, I've heard you talk a little bit about being a father. Congratulations to Manny. He has a newborn.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Cue the
Come
audience.
on.
Woo!
Please congratulate me. 'Cause I didn't.
It has not been easy.
And man, I would love to hear you talk about that, you know, that process, because I think for us, more than anything, I think we kind of, I want you to walk us through that process, because sometimes it looks like becoming a man, then it looks like becoming a husband, and then it looks like becoming a father. You know, and a lot of maybe, you know, young kids, they don't even know how to get to the first one. So it's like we got to that point of you making decisions. And I think making decisions is huge when like men have to be decisive. Yeah. And no women like indecisive homeboys.
Sure,
so
You're going to be single.
yes,
Single.
exactly.
But you're going to be whooped.
one or the other, exactly. And it just attracts nothing good, honestly. Either super lonely or whooped as hell. But there's that first decision you have to make that makes you into a man, which making big decisions, taking responsibility. And then the second step now, I mean, y'all can talk about it more if y'all want, but now, you know, becoming a husband. And then obviously the last step that would be becoming a father. I would just love for you to speak into that, how God guided you, because hearing from you and living, you know, you're one of those people that I would say I walk with on a closer level, like Tommy, in life. And I've seen it, and kind of just guide us through, first as a husband, both of you, and then second as a father, like walk us through how God guided you, maybe through scripture, through him. Like, how does that look like? Because sometimes it looks different for everybody. Yeah. You know, even probably for me once I get married.
Let's
In the
go.
name of Jesus.
That means that you're not an indecisive person.
Exactly. I've never been. But more than that, it's just I want to know like how that transition looks for you.
Oh, you go ahead first.
I haven't even thought of my answer.
You have the cool mic.
It's only like, oh, good.
And obviously, it's not just as a husband, but for the wives too.
Yeah.
And, you know, just that phase of life. You know.
Yeah, I think you're on point with everything you're saying about, you know, no woman, and I would even say just nobody likes to have, you know, an indecisive friend, father.
It's true.
So, yeah, when I got married, I've been married 9 years.
Dang.
I got married in 2014. I was 25.
Dang.
I proposed to my wife in front of youth service.
Oh my gosh. In the middle of a cap.
She hated it. No, she didn't hate it, but she's just, you know, it was really nerve-wracking for her.
Wait, if you ever go back and you ask her, would you wish I proposed to you in a different way? Does she ever say?
I knew she didn't want me to do that, but I wanted to do that. So.
You were like, I don't care.
I mean, I was going to give her the wedding that she wanted, so, you know, whatever.
Okay, at least you do the proposal how I wanted.
But it was special.
Can you tell us how was you like? Were you playing the piano or something?
Oh, dude, no, you don't want to know.
Like flew down on like a rose.
We'll send you the video later. Don't worry.
Yeah, I have the video. No, but it was special to both of us just to do it in the house of God, to do it on the altar. I think, commitments, your dad says it all the time, you make commitments and covenants on the altar. And so that good, for me was a word. And I said, we're going to do this commitment, this yes. So, and thankfully she said yes.
You are also not an undecisive man.
Like, when you watch a lot of YouTube about proposals, you're like, oh man, this could go real bad.
Jeez.
But anyway, to answer your question about, just being a husband, man, you don't realize how much you're responsible for until you live with someone else, until you share things. It was super hard for me. It's still hard in some things. I think you're getting to know someone pretty much for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, we know each other so well that we should get married and we know everything about each other. It's just every day I learn more about my wife and I learn more about myself. Learning about her just uncovers so many things about me. Even until recently, I think we were having one of those deep conversations at night, and she's just like
pillow talk,
basically. Yeah, I was just like, why does this make you feel this way? And she was like, when I was younger, and I was like, oh Lord, here we go.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
But you really learn to connect with another person on a deeper level, to really understand them, and sometimes that's all that's needed. So you learn to give of yourself, even from where you feel you have nothing to give. You're like, this person needs my time. This person needs my love. This person needs my money. This person needs they have needs. Well, yeah. But I think just that's one of the biggest takeaways that I've learned as somebody's spouse, as a husband, just the responsibility.
What's been the hardest? Sorry to cut you off.
No,
what's been the hardest and the easiest thing for you transitioning into being a husband? Like that you weren't expecting. Like, oh, this was a lot harder or easier, and this.
And you can answer that question too.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, man. I think the hardest thing was just realizing that someone else with different parents and a different background and from a different country is gonna live in the same house that I'm gonna live in. And that's just like,
yeah,
because my parents were not her parents.
Yeah,
her parents were divorced. My parents taught me different. Her mom taught her this, and there was no father in her house, and there wasn't mine. And it's just like bringing those worlds together. It's not as easy as it seems. It's not as simple as it seems. It's not as simple as like, hey, we're gonna do this every Saturday. Like we're gonna, I don't know, clean the house or whatever. And then you're talking with somebody who is not used to that or whatever, and it's just. Silly things can really become a big deal if they're just not like talked through. If they're just not like, hey, look, I didn't come from that. I don't have that background. That's not easy for me.
Yeah.
That's one of the things my wife actually recently told me. She's like, that doesn't come as easy for me as it does for you. And I had to understand that. And I had to just be like, you know what, you're right. It's not only about just, putting demands and I'm the man of the house and order and all that stuff. All that stuff is great, but at the end, you're with a person.
Yeah,
It's just another human being that has, their own way of thinking, their own ideals. It's not just, you're not gonna agree on everything, because if that was the case, then I don't think anybody would get married.
Honestly,
you can't. I think that was one of the hardest things for me. One of the easiest things for me, I guess, just knowing that I married my best friend.
Okay.
I was like, man, having somebody with me in the best times of my life.
That's so good.
That made me happy, knowing that I had a partner for everything already.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because everybody that I talked to that's had a very long like marriage and a very long like successful like, man, like these people did it right. Like those old people that have been married for like 60 years.
They're still holding hands on.
Exactly. Like I've been able to get to know some of these people, and I'm like, what did it take? And two things that I've heard the most is that best friend. Hey, this was my best friend.
Yeah.
And number two, I would say something that I even heard Bill Johnson say. he basically said, when you're looking for that right person, you don't look for someone that you can live with. You look for someone that you can't live without.
Come on.
And once I understood that, I was like, man, like, and that's why I'm saying it in the name of Jesus. But more than that, like, it makes sense why you say that. And when you're talking about marriage and even getting to the point of marriage or making that decision towards marriage. And since you brought that up, already been married 9 years?
Yeah.
Someone that's been married 4 months.
Let's go.
How's it going?
Hey, that's
Fraction. Dude, no, what you said, honestly, it speaks to me a lot because like getting used to living with a completely different person that like you've never lived with before. Yeah. And I mean, I imagine your situation was similar to mine, that I went from living with my parents. Never lived. Well, you lived alone before because you lived.
No, I live with. Well, yeah,
because you lived
campus.
off. Yeah. But I like literally went from my parents' house to living on my own. So it was like a huge change of pace. Yeah. And it's like one funny example, kind of what you were talking about was some things that maybe she's used to that I'm not. And for me, it was like making the bed every morning. I'll be honest, I never made my bed in the morning.
Did you make your bed in the morning?
Dude, I'm a freaking army soldier, bro. I make it every morning.
You woke up, you were trained in the Peruvian army, bro.
Dude, I was trained.
You're not leaving your room until your bed is made. But for me, dude, honestly, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get back into this thing later tonight. Like, what's the point? But for
me too, right? But even though my whole entire room was like spotless. No, I am like very like not even. I'm close to OCD, but I'm not. But the one thing that I have never done is that I don't. Okay, anyway,
I get exactly what you mean. My same thought process. Yes. We were raised very similar. Jocelyn, my lovely wife, like she feels her, because I didn't understand, because she'd be like, we need to make the bed every single morning and I'm like, I don't get this, like why? Like there's where you realize we're gonna lay back in this thing later tonight, like why make it if we're gonna get back in it? But she says that like if she walks into the room and the bed's not made, it feels disorganized and like she can't sleep right, and like her mind just isn't settled. To me, that makes zero sense.
You don't get it.
You're crazy, but okay.
But just don't feel that way.
Exactly. But then it's like you love this person so much that like it's gonna take a lot of death to self. That it's like I don't understand this, and it's funny because now she gets up for work an hour before I do, so she leaves to work before me. So I'm stuck making the bed every single morning because like if I don't make it, no one makes it. So it's like on top of the fact that we could initially both be doing it together.
This is now Tommy's venting session.
Guys, it's really hard and I'm just kidding.
It's therapy.
No, but it's funny that like you learn that. Like you learn to really die to yourself and something that you probably don't understand. And to this day I kind of get it, but still but you know what? It makes her happy. Let me do this, even though it's a chore and it's annoying, whatever. But you do it, and I think it's that the way you were talking about, it's crazy, like adapting to those things slowly but surely, that you're like, holy crap, I didn't expect for this to be such a big deal to you, but like to me it's not, but I gotta do it anyways, you know?
Yeah, I didn't know women use different soap than men. So no.
Damn, they don't use
bubble
shampoo conditioner in one.
They don't use your shampoo, they don't use your Dove soap, they don't use your Iris Spring. No, heck no.
And all their stuff costs like 50 times more too.
Exactly. So you gotta get that. So just brace yourself.
Ron, what about for you? What's something that maybe, because like we're in this, but you're on your way there. What's something you expect to be harder, and what is something you expect to be easier? Like you think about something once you get to marriage, and you're like, this is gonna be hard. This is gonna be easy. Like what's one of each?
I guess my outlook, I kind of already have a sneak peek with both of you, and basically like 90% of my friends are married and have kids. And I kind of know what I'm walking into.
True.
Not to expect what I'm walking into. I guess I would have to. I know that I'm gonna have. It's almost like you know it's coming and you can't do anything about it. And that sounds horrible. You
just gotta face it.
But I know that for me, it's like, oh yeah, I get it. And I'm down. But I know that the moment I get there, it's gonna be stuff that pisses me off.
Yeah.
But and you know, I know it's slowly gonna get there, but. I would say just prepare myself. I think the main theme here is dying to self.
Yeah, definitely.
I thank God I learned that at a young age.
True.
If you know my family, there's a lot of dying to self.
You don't say.
I love my entire family, but I've had to die to self a lot, and I guess that would kind of be my processing. And not only that, like you said, a lot of patience.
True.
A lot of, I would even say compassion in a sense, you know, because they're not me. They didn't have the benefits, or they didn't go through what I went through in process. So you're right. It's a completely different human being, and you guys are becoming one. Yeah. Which can be extremely challenging, but
it's a pain.
Yeah, really. But at the end of the day, there's so much that comes from it, children and all that. And I just wanted to kind of harp on a little bit on the dying to self part, because I think that's the main theme here. Mm-hmm. I think, and it's a beautiful thing, because walking now with the Lord, now you guys are married, now you have a kid too. It's almost like levels of dying to self. Mm-hmm. But there's like a grace behind that. True. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, because I know sometimes there's times where you all want to throw things at your significant other, or you're just
no, never, Ron. Are you crazy?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right.
Well, you're 4 months in, brother.
You can tell us later.
Yeah, for real.
No, I'm saying that so I don't get in trouble now.
But it's more of just like, I kind of want to just focus on that a little bit, because even with God, I've noticed there's a lot of things that I've learned now, in that phase going into marriage. Like, man, this reminds me of the Holy Spirit. It reminds me of my relationship with Him. And that's why I say it's almost like it's levels, but it's the same thing. For example, here it's becoming a man is you got to die. And Paul says you put away childish things. Yeah. That's becoming a man. Yeah. And then becoming married, you become one with that person. And then we're talking about being patient, compromising, just it's dying to self. And then even on the father level, or the mother level, or just having a kid level, it's also another level of dying to self. And that's the common theme that I've seen here, that I appreciate it so much, because there's so much to it that it's almost a reflection. And now I understand, hearing you guys, now I understand when Paul says, hey, wives submit to your husband as your husband submits to Christ. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest, I guess, thing that has kept you guys sane in all of this, in the craziness. And obviously I'm joking, but what I'm saying is, like, that's for you to answer, not me. But more than that, I just feel like, how has that relationship with God played a role as a husband, and now in a role as a son? Because I know it's almost like a mirror. It's crazy, but it's like God created us, and everything we do as creation, it mirrors Him. Yeah. And for sure, it's just so beautiful to watch. And I think that, obviously I'm a little older now, I'm 26, and all my friends either are married or have kids. And it's a beautiful thing to witness. And at first I was like, why am I not the one married? Why am I not having kids yet? Or why, because, for example, like we were talking about friends that are our age, or even my age, but they're already married with kids. Like, and I think for me, on my side, I can appreciate now more the beauty of process, the beauty of the grace that comes with dying to self, because some people just jump into it right away, but I would love, maybe from your side of, the beauty of, having that relationship with God, and how it mirrors in your marriage, and then on your side, the beauty of having a child, having a son, and how that mirrors your relationship with God.
I mean, I would say it's funny that you were saying that. All I kept thinking about, it's crazy how your walk with God really does prepare you for everything in life.
So good.
Like, everything you learn from, like, the fruit of the Spirit, when applied correctly, the fruit of the Spirit will birth fruit in so many other areas. So like, for example, getting married, like the Bible, the Lord teaches us to be patient, to be kind, to be all these different things. And it's literally, you get married, you gotta
put that to the test. 100%.
It's like, God is like, okay, I birthed this fruit. Now, like, what are you gonna do with it? Like, did it actually birth? Did the fruit birth fruit? Like, and I think I would say that's one of the biggest things. Like, patience, I guess that's a common thing in dying to self. It's crazy because, like, I guess growing up in ministry and, like, learning my role with the Lord and my walk with God, it's crazy to see how now with my wife, it's like, I learned there's so many things that my flesh wants to do, that Tommy wants to do, but the Lord's like, don't do that. Now I'm married, and, like, Tommy wants to, I don't know, go play video games tonight, but my wife's like, I want to sit on the couch and just talk. And I'm like, well, no, I'm going to have to do this, because, like, if, just like you said, your wife submit to your husband as your husband submits to Christ. Yeah. And it's like, only as far as you submit to God will your wife submit to you. So like, if you think about that, it's crazy. Like, your wife will only respect you as much as you respect God. And it's such a crazy, like, revelation that once that clicks in your head, you're like, dang, for me to have a good relationship with my wife, I need to have a great relationship with God. And So I'd say that, man, it's awesome to look now everything that, like surrendering to the Lord and now seeing that play out in my marriage, which I would say is like the second biggest decision you make in your life other than, you know, walking with the Lord is who you marry, and like seeing how much that birth fruit.
And I just love that we're right now, each of us are in a different stage of life.
Yeah, it's so dope.
Child, there's a son, you're recently married, and I'm still
almost
getting there. But yeah, I would agree, and I think on my end, it takes more on the phase of being a man. It takes more out of me to try to, now I have to make an effort for it. If I don't do it, then I'm forced to do it when I'm married. If I don't do it when I'm married, I'm forced to do it when, you know.
Yeah,
and
you don't want to wait till that point.
Exactly, because then it's just a whole other problem. But what I'm saying is God allows it from the beginning, and then as the process goes, it's like almost like we're a circle here. But it's a beautiful
spiritual
thing.
Spiritual guys.
But in all honesty, it's crazy because what you're saying, I'm going through that, but that's because that was my process.
Yeah.
None of it is wrong for us to go through that process in any stage of life.
Yeah.
And right here we have the 3 stages, really, pretty much.
Dude, and it's crazy too, because like the sooner you submit, like at least I witnessed it for me, the faster I submitted to, not to say that like you haven't submitted to it, because everyone's walk is different, but as soon as I submitted all these things to the Lord, everything came to pass. Like, I found my wife, I got married like that too. And it's like, yo, it's crazy. Like if you're watching this and you're looking for your wife, just surrender to God and you'll probably get her. just saying. Or your husband.
Honestly.
Not wrong.
Yeah, honestly.
But
and yeah.
as a dad.
The latest stage of life.
Because I gotta learn.
Man, my kid is going to be 2, and it's tough, man. Y'all know how, y'all heard of the terrible 2s.
Everyone extend a hand towards Manny, please, really quick. Father God.
Please. Everything is no, everything is mine, and everything is biting and just, you know. But, you know, you really get to see the heart of God when you see your child. Like,
so good.
Like God pours out more of his heart, the Father's heart over you, so that you can have the grace to really raise his child.
Yeah.
Judah's his son. That's my son's name. His name is Judah. And he belongs to the Lord. I'm here just to raise him.
So
you know,
good.
so that one day he can be off and do whatever God has called him to do. But everything you guys are saying is so true, because I look at my son and, you know, he's a baby, and I mean, we're not babies in the Lord, but we're also figuring out life just like he is.
Yeah.
He's still trying new foods. There's still parks he hasn't gone to. He's never driven a car. I mean, he doesn't even know how to ride the little car that grandma gave him. And he's figuring it out just like we're figuring it out. Yeah. And God shows you so much of his heart when you see a little boy growing up. You're like, be patient, be gracious, extend mercy. You know,
so good.
They don't know what they're doing yet. Like, you are responsible for them. And every time that God pours that, and I even feel, you know, God as I'm sharing this, every time it's just like we're like becoming more like our Father. So becoming more like him. And so even in every aspect, you know, it's like how you were saying, you know, the more we relate to the Lord and be with him, and the more he pours into us for us to get through the season that we're getting through. Yeah. And as a father right now, that season for me looks like, a lot of mercy, a lot of grace, a lot of patience. But at the end, a lot of love, because I see my son, you know, if he were here right now, he thinks he's free to touch whatever he wants, you know, or grab anything. But he does that because he knows his dad is around. Yeah. And he's not worried about maybe, you know, somebody taking him away or something bad happening to him. He's like, my dad is around, you know, I'm safe. So good. And sometimes, you know, you start introspecting and you're like, why am I so worried if my dad is around? So good. Like he's here, he's with me, he's for me. He's not going to let anything bad happen to me. It's not like God is, you know, doing this podcast and then just Judah's in the bathroom somewhere ripping toilet paper, which he's done before, you know?
Speaking from experience.
Correct.
Oh man.
But that's what that's been looking like for me. Just receiving more of his heart.
And man, I'm sorry to cut you off, but what you said is the whole reason of all this love, man. And I just feel like I cannot do, if I didn't really love God, I wouldn't do anything.
We wouldn't be where we are right now.
Like if you didn't really love your wife, you wouldn't do the things you asked of her. I mean, she asked of you, I'm sorry, or your son even, just doing things for him. And I think that's the beautiful thing, that if you don't carry love, man, I don't think you can get very far. You know, in your walk with God, in your walk with people, in your walk with loved ones, in your walk with your significant other, in your walk with children. And I think that's the beauty of it, you know, and even then, like, I think we know that love comes from one place and one place alone. God is love.
Amen.
Love is not God.
Yeah.
And I think if we can understand and know the Lord, then we're going to know love.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only reason why we've been able to succeed in those areas of our lives, in marriage, in being a father, in marriage as well. Me on my side, just everything that I've been able to make the decisions I made is because I know God. So because I know God, now I can love on Him. And if I can love on Him, I'm going to trust Him. I'm going to be able to. So it's just the spiraling of just so many things. And I think if we can just understand that that's all tied by a bow of just love. That bow is love, you know, and it's such a beautiful thing. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was literally just gonna make a joke.
Oh, okay.
Because like you were saying the terrible twos, and I'm like, I wonder how many Christians out there are in their terrible twos. And God's like, here he goes biting stuff again.
Yeah, my son doesn't know how to say, like, you know, hey, don't take my toy. So he'll just bite somebody.
I feel like there's Christians out there
that are probably
doing
just like, you know,
listen,
that was all
snapping at people.
but it is true, and everything you say, man, everything that's in the natural is just a mirror of what God of our walk with God, and it's true, and it sucks, but there's some people that are still too. They're still in their terrible twos because they choose not to, for whatever reason, X, Y, and Z. They don't choose the path of responsibility, the path of dying to self, the path of trust, the path of love. And I think it all points back to God.
Yeah.
And even in creation, which is beautiful. And I just wanted to just kind of share that a little bit. And the last thing, man, is I would love for you to just release just a quick prayer.
Wait, before we end, I have one question. I know you guys didn't want to talk about worship. Sorry, Manny, but I have a question for you.
Go for
it. Guys, Manny talks about worship 24/7, so he was trying to stray away from talking about worship. But we're going to ask him a worship question anyways. True worship isn't done with your mouth, right? It's done with your heart.
Yeah.
How does someone make their heart become a place that can truly worship God?
It's a good question.
That like, yeah.
Yeah. There's a verse in the Bible that says
you see why I asked him, guys? He's pulling up scripture.
No, but I don't even know how to say it right, so hold on. I hope I recite it correctly.
I believe in you, man.
But it says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind and all that stuff. And then it says, offer your bodies as living sacrifice, which is your act of worship. And so it's true what you say, worship comes from your heart, but the way it's manifested is through your lifestyle.
So
through
good.
what you do every single day.
So good.
At every moment. You are honoring the Lord, because worship is honor unto Him. You are honoring the Lord with the way you speak. You're honoring Him with the relationships that you carry, with your marriage.
Yeah.
You're honoring Him.
Yeah.
Everything that you do
is worship.
Affects how you honor or dishonor the
So
Lord.
good. So
just through with your walk in life. So reflecting the character of Christ, it's a loaded question, but if we just put it simply, literally at every moment, at any moment of any day, time, minute, second, you can honor God with your lifestyle.
Amen.
Which is your act of worship, your body, how you dress, the people that you surround yourself with, the way you parent, the way you do marriage, everything that you do is an act of worship unto Him. You are literally before His presence. He is with you all the time, and He's watching.
So
and
good.
We're not going to do those things because of fear to Him, but we just want to do those things because in our heart we just want to bring honor to the name of Jesus.
So good.
That's super good.
We want to be like, we just want people to be like, that's the God that He serves. Like how they say all through the Bible, wow, the God of Abraham, the God of Israel, the God of Jacob. Because everywhere they went, they were grateful. They offered altars and sacrifices unto the Lord, and then say, Ebenezer, until God has brought us unto this place. So and so, this place shall be called whatever, a place of death. Just because God has preserved us, protected us, and in every moment they recognized, they were like, God is for us, God is with us, and He's worthy of worship. Yeah. So I think it's just your lifestyle, man, which is, it could branch out into so many things, it can, like,
this is a whole topic itself.
Everything we just mentioned. But if you're just God conscious all the time, I think that's
a good way to put it. God
difference.
Conscious. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question. All right. Now I'm excited.
now you can pray.
Yeah. And again, I think going off of that, it's true. And maybe there's people in their people watching, there's an area or a part of their life that maybe they're not God conscious, or maybe there's an area where they say, hey, Manny, or Ron or Tom, I don't feel the grace. I don't feel the grace upon me because maybe I don't know the Lord in that area and I want to get to know him and all that. If you can just do a quick prayer that we can just extend to those people for the Holy Spirit to reveal Jesus to them once again, so they can know God. In turn, they can know love. In turn, they can know that and become God conscious once again. And for that to just wake up in their lives.
Yeah, let's do it. Father, right now we pray for everyone watching this podcast. We thank you for their lives. We know it's not a coincidence that you've connected them to this video. And right now, I just want to release first and foremost the presence of God.
Yes, God.
Know that he is near. He's drawing near to you now. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. There is no sin that can keep you from him.
Yes.
So, Father, I just release your presence over your people.
Yes,
those
God.
who know you, those who have accepted Christ in their hearts, and even those who haven't, that you may draw near to them now. Deliver them from fear in the name of Jesus.
Yes,
We
God.
set you free from fear. We set you free from low self-esteem, that kind of low self-worth of just thinking, why would God want anything to do with me? We deliver you now from thoughts of not being good enough, thoughts of suicide, thoughts of just,
God.
why am I here? Not having a purpose, not having a call. You are called. You are able. God loves you.
Lord.
And Father, I pray that you pour out your love now over your
God.
people. Pour out the love of God that Jesus manifested through the cross, through the shedding of blood.
Yes, God.
Pour it now over your sons and daughters. Pour it now over everyone watching this video. I release peace over you.
Yes,
I
Lord.
release his voice over you, that you may hear him now clearer than you ever have, that he may be tugging at your spirit to go be with him, that he may show you more
Yes,
of
Lord.
who he is, in Jesus' name.
Amen. So
Well,
good.
Manny, thank you so much again.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. I
Tommy,
really enjoyed it.
thank you for being
Ronald,
here, man.
honestly, the
Wow.
honor is mine.
No, it's
guys.
mine.
I think we have a good name, the So Good podcast, because you and me say so good probably every 2 seconds.
No, that's it.
The So Good
That's it.
podcast.
Maybe.
there.
But
That's so good.
maybe,
So
but
good.
thank you again, Manny. I appreciate it, and
I love you guys. Thank you.
thank you again, and we'll see you guys next time.
On the So Good podcast. So good. So good.
That's so good.
So good.